I wouldn't know what to do if that was if I walked into a meeting and I was like, hold my phone up.
Your email. That's fine. I told Marissa last night that you nail prep. I was like, I nail prep. I was you guys doing it? No, but I didn't sign it. And then Jonathan got mad.
He's like, because I was laughing because we were texting each other. I was like, Amy, do you ever just like breathe?
And I was like, are you okay?
But I was like, you just take a deep breath and you just, like, it just feels good. And then she's like, are you okay? And I'm just like laughing. And Jonathan's like, I know who you're texting right now. Oh my God. And I'm like, do you have a problem, sir?
You're submitting.
Also, recording right there. But he is,
Okay. He gets jobs.
Never know.
But yeah, it's kind of just facing that. I don't stuff that.
Okay.
I can try to back up the dust.
Okay. I'll go somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Very much used to the classroom. I was here last week until like 10.
Especially just today, fair that they notified us.
What is pin video? There we go. Pin video.
I think we're going to have a meeting. No, I'm just thinking they've been a whole year, or
Yeah.
so they may have seen.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they've seen your presentation.
Yeah.
Because you were on just about. Yeah.
But I think less and less they have.
Yeah, but that was last year. So
That was last year. So. Okay.
oh, just ignore me.
I always do.
Okay, if you haven't already done so, make sure you scan this to sign in. We're gonna start in a couple minutes. Probably now.
Oh, really? I hope she lets us off early though. Please. I can't do that before 4:50. Yeah, but today we might go to Urge. It's the bar.
And then I wanted to give a quick shout out to our Lessons Learned event. You probably received an email with an RSVP form, basically inviting you to come to our Lessons Learned event, which is next Tuesday from 6 to 9 p.m. in Oceanside. And basically, like we did this last semester, and it's kind of like a speed dating thing where you get to sit and have a dinner with a teacher, a public school teacher who's actually working right now, and you get to ask them any questions you want, like what's your salary? Do you like the district you work in? What's a good district you work in? Stuff like that that you normally don't get to ask like people around here. So it's just like a good opportunity. We need you to RSVP by Friday so we can get a head count of how much we can order for food. So you should have had the email, but if you don't, I have a QR code to scan too. Or you can do that right now if you want. And then we have our education specialist, Jodi, here to be our guest speaker. So thank you for coming.
Sure. Hi guys, welcome.
Hello.
I just said I'm very much used to teaching this class. I was here last night till like 10 o'clock, but we had so much fun. Maybe I should have said 10 o'clock. Class ended long before that, believe me. But I wanted to share a story that I had last night with one of my candidates who approached me after class saying, I remember that strategy you taught last week called Comic Book Conversations. We were talking about kids with autism, and she is an intern right now, and she's working as an education specialist in a elementary school setting. She said she's working with this really difficult kid who has some behavioral issues and really shuts down afterwards. And so the staff has been like scratching their head. How do we, get this kiddo to talk about what happened, and how do we, problem solve with them? And the week before, I taught them this really cool strategy called Comic Book Conversations, where kids love graphic novels right now. It's really, thing. So we map out the behavioral issue or the social problem, and this kiddo, she approached him with this, and he did it, and she brought it to me, and she was just in tears. Like, he talked about the situation, he mapped it out, we reviewed it, he saw, oh, I think that's where I probably could have done something different. Maybe before I grabbed his neck, right before that, maybe what were some other choices I could have made at that time? It's like, yeah, let's talk about this. And so she was just, like, I can't believe it. He really connected with the strategy. And I really think he's gonna, work on some strategies with me now. And so if you're like, yeah, that sounds so awesome. Does that sound so awesome? Yeah. That sounds fun, right? Working with kids that, have a little bit more challenges maybe than the typical individual, but that given really great tools and strategies, you're able to make changes that will make you cry on like a day-to-day basis, because it's such an incredible population to work with. So if you're like, oh, that sounds fun, then I've got the credential for you. So I'll give you a little brief intro into what your path might be if you're interested in becoming a special educator. Does anyone know what a special educator is, or an education specialist is kind of how we refer to it in California. So what might you do if you're a special ed teacher in the state of California? Yeah. Oh, good. There's lots of different teaching options available. There's lots of different special ed credentials, and with those credentials, there's varying types of roles. So it's got a lot of flexibility in terms of, oh, I kind of think this suits me, or I kind of like to have my own classroom, or I kind of like to be co-teaching and in and out and kind of consulting. I really like conducting assessments and writing reports. Said no one ever, but sometimes. So maybe I'll do more of that. So there's lots of options, and the good thing about that is that you're not stuck in the same exact thing year after year. There's lots of options for you to, I think I might work with this population. I think I might support in this way. I think I might go to this district that has this vision. So there's lots of options with these credentials that can take you in many different paths and keep you kind of fresh in the field in terms of doing something a little bit different, yet still using your degrees and your credentials for the rest of your life. So we'll learn a little bit more. Great answer, you really know the specifics. I have a video because Rachel, who's not here, keeps telling me, Jodi, get a video. So I finally found, because I don't like a lot of the videos, but I found a good video. So I have this video, and it's about why become a special educator. So I hope it will excite you. It's just a few minutes long, but I'm gonna give it a try. Hopefully the sound doesn't scare you.
Our kids are the hothouse flowers. They're special, beautiful people that inspire us in very different ways. I really believe that.
It has been not a battle, but a wonderful journey trying to help Jerry get where he is today and looking forward to where he's going.
A little dated, there's a lot more now.
We need a new generation of teachers
to join those who are already making a difference in the classroom.
become a special education teacher.
Special ed teachers collectively, they didn't just teach me about hope for him and how he would grow. They taught me about hope for me, because you don't just change that child's education. You change their life, you change their family's life. You help support them to put them towards independence. And quality of life is not only having quality of life for yourself, but helping enhance the quality of life for someone else.
Actually, I think my quality of life is better than some other people, because I can come home at the end of the day and say, you know, I think I really made a difference. And to me, that improves my quality of life. And just like any other job, there are positive and negatives, but my highs are higher than I think almost any other type of work.
Who was your favorite teacher?
Well, it's my English teacher. I'm 16, and I'm in the 10th grade. Every time I go in there, I just say, I need some help, and she just smile and all. But I make her laugh. She thinks I'm smart.
It's a job I love. It's what I want to be doing. I hope that we can get more men out there. Students who have special needs, there's more boys than girls.
As we've been sitting here, my son's just been doing laps for the last like 10 minutes, and he gets like that in his classroom, and his teacher will come and take him out of the classroom, and she'll take the assignments that he's supposed to be doing, and then she'll just talk to him. The whole time they're just doing laps around the school, but it's because she's thinking outside the box and not making him have to conform.
Dear Ms. Dean, I highly appreciate all your work and support. I would never make it without you. She had burned a whole lot of bridges. She was emotionally disturbed. The principal's like, what are we gonna do with this kid? I don't know if this is the right placement for her. And I'm like, well, give me a minute. These are the kids that we really need to serve. She graduates and she's gonna start college in the fall. So I can see this kid moving from, you know, no one wants to deal with her to, okay, you can have a future.
That's what I work for. That's just to see a student go like, wow, I can do something with my life. What other job can you say you go into and you're laughing and you're having so much fun and you're actually making a difference in the world? There's a personality characteristic that the best special educators seem to have. There's this genuine deep curiosity. They're trying to figure out the puzzle that is your child. When they can do that, that's where the progress happens.
My success is really attributed to the fact that my general education teachers, as well as the special education teachers, really listened to what I was saying, that I could do anything that other non-disabled children were doing.
Once they get that special teacher, they can soar. Because I've watched my daughter go from sitting in kindergarten for a whole year, not doing nothing. She couldn't even write her name, and then getting into that enriched environment and going to the moon and back. I've seen it happen.
My whole life became difficult because of my learning disability. I kind of given up on myself. This special education teacher that helped me the most, his name was Alex. Alex helped me gain confidence in myself and realize that I am a better person than that, and I can do anything that anybody else can do. I think I can be Alex in someone's life.
I have a child who they said wouldn't be able to walk, and he walks. They said he wouldn't talk. I can't shut him up. I'm so grateful for the teachers who have believed in him, because because they too believe he can do all things.
Become a special education teacher. Become a special education teacher.
Become a special education teacher.
Teach.
Teach.
All right, who's excited? Wow, tough crowd. Okay, let's get back to our details there. Okay. So I think that is a little inspiring. Who's crying? I'm just a little bit. I've seen it a couple times. And it really is. If you have that interest in how can I support this child to learn? How can I understand what might be going on with this behavior? And you're curious about it. You're not like, no. You're like, I wonder what I might do. I wonder what I might try. Ooh, this sounds fun. Being creative, being flexible, taking this outside, doing this in a different way, making this accessible. No day is the same. You're constantly getting to create, recreate, try new things. But you kind of have to have at your core that real curiosity about how kids learn, how kids who have disabilities learn, and how they might be supported. So you do have to have some traits in order to become a special educator. And so think about these as you think about your path going forward as an educator. Do you truly have that love and acceptance? Because right off the bat, if you're coming in thinking, I'm going to come in here and control these kids, or I'm going to babysit these kids because this sounds like an easy job, they're going to see right through you. And then your day is going to be really hard. So if you come, though, to this career with real love and acceptance in terms of getting to know the kids for who they are, collaborating with families, collaborating with other educators and specialists in the school, then you can really develop some amazing relationships with not only your students, but their families, and really become part of not only like just their academics, but their entire life, the quality of their life. In special ed, we get very intimate with some of our families in terms of talking about, what's your plans for your child's life? Yeah, we're talking about this year, but we're really thinking about your child's future with you. And so it's just bigger in that way. If you have some good organizational skills and intuition, those will serve you well as a special educator. If you're creative and enthusiastic, I had recently, like a week ago, I had a group of teachers come in who teach kids who are medically fragile. And they're talking about, well, I don't get a lot back from some of my students who have trouble lifting their arms or moving their head to do an eye gaze. So like, I have to be the one to like, woo, so do you have that like, let's go, like me right now? Like, do you have that enthusiasm to inspire and motivate kids who may have had not so enthusiastic educators in their past, or are feeling kind of beat down by challenges that they may be facing with their communication or their academics or their social skills? That creativity I was talking about earlier in terms of, how can I rewrite this lesson so that all of the students in this class can access it? Not just those kids or these kids, or not just teaching to the middle, but how can I differentiate instruction, do universal design for learning, and really be creative in terms of making this curriculum come alive and become accessible to students. And sometimes you do it on your own in a classroom. Other times your partner is the general education teacher, and you guys are, he or she is kind of the master of the curriculum, and you become the master of access. So you're like, great, this is our curriculum. I've got ways that we can adapt this. I've got ways we can accommodate for this. I've got ways that we can get kids moving around this. And so you've got that creativity and enthusiasm. You have confidence. You have confidence because you're going to be in situations as a special educator where a child, you know, misbehaves, etc. All eyes go on you. Like, okay, now what do we do? Mr. or Mrs. who has all this training in special education. So you do have to feel like, yep, I got this. I've got confidence. I'm there to support the student. I can do this. So you do have to have a little bit of confidence in making sure you can step up when situations get a little bit more challenging in terms of getting in there and supporting kids who might be struggling. You gotta have the calm too, along with the crazy enthusiasm. You gotta be able to regulate yourself. De-escalated adults can never help de-escalate a child. And so learning, if you're the kind of person that's like, yeah, I'm okay. Someone's, you know, kind of having a problem right now, I'm calm, I'm confident, I can do this. I'm not escalating up with them, I'm not taking it personally. So if you feel like I've got those skills, I can be calm under pressure and really make sure I have the best interest of my students. Humorous and easygoing. There's a lot of things that might happen in your day that you just gotta laugh off and to connect with kids, to build rapport with kids. You gotta have a little humor and be easygoing and you know, don't fight the small, like, don't sweat the small stuff. Thank you. And you know, kind of laugh things off that might for others might be tough. And dedication, you gotta be dedicated to really trying to figure out what's going on for your students. Dedicated to being an advocate for your students, be an advocate and a model in your school site. You might walk into a school site where they have very old beliefs about how to support kids with disabilities. And so you might come in there as the model for, you know, more inclusive types of educational supports. And so you do have to have that dedication and passion toward the philosophy of teaching that will, you know, really inspire in you at CSUSM. And you have to have optimism. If you are like, no, he's never gonna learn this, but guess what? He's never gonna learn this because you're not looking for ways to teach him. And so being optimistic and knowing like, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna build this communication system for this kiddo, or I'm gonna support this academic skill. I know we're gonna do it. And giving kids that optimism back is something that one of the students in the video said, I knew, like, she thought I was smart. Like, just that alone is such an incredible, positive support for kiddos that oftentimes does not occur with educators. So who's feeling inspired? Yes, I got one. Okay, here's some other. I did a pros, like the pros page. I was about to do a cons page, and then I was like, nah, another time. So some of the yay about this profession is you would be in high demand. I would say the highest demand educator is one that comes duly credentialed, meaning they have a general education credential, either a single subject or a multiple subject. They have a bilingual authorization and 1 or 2 special ed credentials. And so that you're like to a district, like you have it all. You are ready to support any child who walks through the door. And so those are our candidates, and yes, they're real people, they do exist, and they have all these things. And they pick their district. They pick where they want to go because they are so attractive to districts all over the county. And so some of our friends were like, but I really think my passion is in general education. It's like, that's okay, but if you want to get in the door to San Marcos, if you want to get into the door to Carlsbad, this might be your path in. So we have had candidates who start teaching special education, and then a few years later fall back on their gen ed credential and go back into general education. And so you have these options in terms of where you want to go and what credential you want to use. But sometimes just to get into a district, it has to be through a special ed path. Signing bonuses are coming out. Right now, I was just telling my candidates last week, for Poway, if you have a moderate severe special ed credential, they're offering a $6,000 signing bonus. Like, man, maybe I'll get jet out of here and go back to teaching. And so that's not happening for general education. So this is something where districts are looking for specialized credential candidates who have specific credentials, and they're willing to pay a little more and sign you early. I know you're gonna feel like you're getting in the MBA or something, you know, like I got a signing bonus, what do you know? So those are real and they're happening more and more around the county. So Poway was the latest one that I just heard of, yeah.
You said signing early, what does that mean?
Signing early mean they're going to start interviewing in March for jobs for fall.
So while you're still in
They're still in credential program, yep. So, and their districts specifically seek out our candidates, primarily because we require that you do get both credentials, that you have a general ed credential, and then you also get your special ed credentials. And districts notice the difference. If I have or if there's a candidate out from an institution that only offers special ed, like you can just go that pathway, districts will come back to me like, what are you guys doing differently? Why are your candidates so much different than this university? Like, well, probably because they truly know the curriculum. They have base credentials. So they're not only the masters of access, they can also be the masters of the curriculum. So they do have that, you know, dual credential. And so districts notice that. They notice that when you're adapting curriculum, you actually know the curriculum. And so whereas other universities might give you a path that's, you know, a year or so to get one credential, but we're seeing that those teachers burn out pretty rapidly because they don't have full skills. Yes? Sorry, one more time. That's the way and I'll kind of talk about how we design those pathways. So there's a quicker pathway, and then there's a pathway to add on as well. Okay. Legal requirements are stricter regarding class sizes and service availability. We have strong laws in special education, so you do have that on your side as an educator in terms of class sizes, federal, state supports that are mandated by federal and state laws. So yay, state law. We offer a dual credential program that allows the options for both general and special ed positions. I just already said that, and teaching occurs in a variety of settings, program designs, which is what we talked about earlier. That if you're like, man, I do not want to be stuck in my own classroom. Like, I want to be interacting, I want to be with other adults, I want to be co-teaching. This is the pathway that allows you to be a little bit more flexible in terms of how you're providing instruction and not necessarily hiding away in a classroom where you're like, I just need to see someone over 10 just for a minute. So if you want to have more interactions like that and collaborations, special ed is all about collaboration. So of course I don't have a cons about special ed because there are no cons. There's a few. There is a lot of paperwork, but prepare you to get that part done and really focus on connecting with your students and families, and that's what will maintain you in the job, is your connections with those students and families. Paperwork, all that kind of stuff is just kind of part of the job, but it's definitely not the reason why you're probably attracted to the program in the first place. So let's talk about our pathways, credentials, and certificates that we offer here. So our first and our most popular program is called our Concurrent Program. So it's a dual credential program. It's actually a triple credential program plus a master's if you so choose. So it's a path that you can go on for 3 semesters and then decide to end after 2 credentials, or you can continue on and get a second special ed credential and also your master's degree. We're the only credential program here that includes your credential work goes into your master's. So in other credential programs, this is when I try to be like, ours is better, guys. So if you get like your multiple subject credential, you get like your single subject credential, you gotta come back and start a master's pretty much from fresh. Like you have a few units that'll transfer, but not a lot. Ours is a combined credential and master's program. So it all happens at one time, it all happens together. So a lot of our candidates leave us in, if they're gonna do everything we offer, in about 2.5 years with 3 credentials, a multiple subject credential, an education specialist mild moderate credential, an education specialist moderate severe credential, and a master's of arts in special education. And they are employed, they still talk to me. It's an intense full program, but it is a great way to kind of bundle it all together and make sure that once you leave, you can be like, goodbye, university. I have my master's, I have my credentials. Time to really focus on building my career. Right now, there are 2 special ed credentials. There's actually more special ed credentials, but these are the 2 that we offer here at Cal State. There's also like a deaf or hard of hearing. There's physical impairment. There's visual impairment that are very specific credentials that we don't offer. So we offer the kind of bigger general credentials that are most often classroom-based teachers. So the first one is a mild moderate credential, and it authorizes you to teach kids who we would describe as having mild support needs, but a variety of disabilities. So they could have autism, they could have emotional disturbance, a mild or moderate intellectual disability, which is formerly known as mental retardation, and other health impairments such as ADHD, a variety of other health types of disabilities, or the biggest one, which is specific learning disability. And so that would primarily be the students you're working with in the mild moderate credential. And so the concurrent program is built so that the first year you get your multiple subject credential, and then the 3rd semester in the fall, you obtain your mild moderate credential. So we have experiences kind of spread out throughout those 3 semesters so that you're meeting the requirements for both credentials. So I don't know many other places where you can walk away with 2 credentials in 3 semesters. That's pretty quick. So it's full-time program. You're in class, you're in schools, you have some evening classes. It just depends on the semester and how it works out, but it is considered a full-time program. Working during that is difficult, or unless it occurs only on the weekends, where we've had a lot of candidates who, are bartenders or whatever, and they can work. But working full time while doing the program is impossible, because you have to be in schools for a large portion of that time. We also offer an advanced certificate in applied behavior analysis for those of you who might not be interested in working in public schools, and work more in a private agency, specifically doing ABA or applied behavior analysis as a BCBA or BCCABA. We have so many acronyms, I'm so sorry. A board certified behavior analyst or a board certified assistant behavior analyst. So that's not a credential, that's a certificate. But sometimes people are like, I want to do that. I really want to work only with kids with autism, and I don't necessarily want to work in schools. I have a feeling that's not you, because you're here at the Future Educators. So you probably do want to work in schools. So the mild, moderate, mod, severe credential would probably be the most attractive to you. Yes. Yes, they do, but usually they have to have a base credential as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. Or they contract from an agency. So yeah, some of those people do work in schools, but it's not a requirement to work in schools with this population. Yeah. So we have our current multiple subject education special option. We also have what's called an add-on option. So let's say you're like, oh, I have to do the middle level program. Can't fight you on that one, it's a good program. I'm gonna do the middle level program, and then as soon as I'm done with that, I'm gonna jump into what's called our add-on program, which means then you need 2 more semesters to complete your mild moderate credential. And so there's pathways. If you're like, I wanna do single subject, I wanna do middle level, I wanna do this. There's lots of ways we can create pathways so that at the end you leave with at least 2 credentials and possibly more. If you're interested in becoming an intern, meaning you're the teacher of record, you're being paid as a teacher of record, but you haven't had a clinical practice experience, it's all happens during an internship, then you can do that, but only as an add-on, because you would have to have obtained your base credential first. So that typically isn't a pathway for this group. That's typically a pathway for a teacher who's been a gen ed teacher for like 6 years and is like, oh, I'm just loving my kiddos with disabilities, and I have to focus on that. So they come back to us and say, I want to get a special ed credential. So we have lots of people, and right now we have 2 people with doctorates in our special ed program add-on because they're super passionate about working with this population. So the wide variety of people in our add-on credentials. So there's always a way to come back and make sure you get that credential. And then the Master's of Arts is embedded, and so there are additional courses once you finish your credential and a thesis and project and some research methods courses, but it can be a part of the whole program, so we kind of get you through on your path for the special ed Masters. Yes?
So you do the add-on that you're doing the main level.
Uh-huh.
The add-on.
Yep.
And then the Masters.
Yep, sure can. Yep. So all that work you're doing as an add-on are 600 level courses, and they're all master's level. So you'll be able to use that coursework towards your master's. So if you're thinking about a master's and having another credential, some of our candidates come to the add-on program, get the credential because they just want to be good gen ed teachers. They're like, these strategies are gold for me. I have these kiddos in my gen ed class. These kiddos aren't just assigned to special educators. They're everywhere. These are the kiddos that live in our neighborhoods. These are the kiddos that are going to our schools. And so having those skills, even if you don't decide to use the credentials, and having a master's in that area would be beneficial to you as a gen ed teacher as well. So we have lots of those. Good. This is kind of a snapshot of our concurrent program, which will probably be the most attractive to you as you come out of your undergrad and move into a credential program. So the first 2 semesters, the focus would be on the multiple subject credential, but there are some special ed experiences, some early field work that you'll be doing. So you'll be connecting with individuals with disabilities. And then the 3rd semester, which is a fall, is focused exclusively on obtaining your mild moderate credential. At that point, you can leave the program and be like, I got my credentials, bye-bye. Rarely do our candidates leave the program at that time. Usually they stay on with us and complete their moderate severe credential, which is working with a population that has more significant support needs or more extensive support needs. But that's optional. You don't have to get that credential, but they are foundational upon each other. And we see the mod severe credential as being the most advanced credential in special education. And then that semester, you can also start your MA coursework. And then by semester 5, you're completing your MA, writing your thesis or your project. Most likely that 5th semester, you're working full time. All those classes are in the evening for the masters. So we're expecting you to be, building a thesis or project based on something you want to implement in your classroom. So it's really applied type of research. And so it's the path for concurrent for all is about 5 semesters. Can't move it any faster than that, but I can also slow it down. I know how to write IEPs, and I often have IEPs for my graduate students who, they have a baby in there somewhere, or they decide they want to work for a year and come back and get the mod severe credential. So you have options also to come back to get your master's, but your units are only good for 5 years. So it's like, okay, you can go back, but you got to come back really soon so that you don't let all those units go. And then I have to have the phone call with you. I'm sorry, your units are too old. I don't want to have that conversation. I have to have it sometimes, and I hate it. So don't do that. Come back like, all right, you're coming back just in time. We can finish up your master's. So we got a lot of options, right, Tiana? We try to be student-minded in terms of getting you the credentials you want in the way you want them, in the time you want them. So there's options. That's me. I'm the program coordinator for the credentials and master's program. I couldn't do this without my student and advising team. Used to be Tiana, and now it's Christina. Christina is our advisor for our concurrent program. So if you're interested in the concurrent program and you have questions with application process, prereqs, tests, all that good, fun stuff that you just have to get through. And then Andy Shibata is our advisor for our add-on program, and then I also have another advisor for the masters, but baby steps, I'll get you there. So but I think the 3 people here will get you where you need to go if you have questions or want to talk more about the special ed possibilities. So questions? I finished in plenty of time. Yeah.
If you decide that you want to do the multiple subject and then the mild moderate and then do your master's, do you have to do the moderate to severe to do your master's?
No, that's optional. The mod severe is always optional. Although that is my favorite credential, so I would be like, come on, like, oh, I'll just, he's like, fine, I'll do it, Jodi. No, that's what that's population I'm most passionate about, but no, you have the option, and I still will talk to you. You can don't get that credential. I'd say, right now, I think like 80% stay for the mod severe credential, but there are some who are like, nope, this is really where I feel I belong. But I'll give you lots of opportunities to work with kids who are more moderate severe to see if you're like, what, this is awesome, I didn't even know. I didn't know I could have a job and do adult transition services, where I'm out in the community with adults, teaching them how to ride the bus, working with their job coaches, like, what, this is a teaching job, this is awesome. So some people just love that. Other people are like, nope, I want to be really, really close to gen ed curriculum. You know, that's where I want to be. I want to be co-teaching in the classroom. Then, okay, your path is probably more mild moderate. So. But you'd be surprised once you get out there. And I got involved in autism, and that's my area of research and my passion, by a professor who asked where I wanted to be placed for an early field experience, and I said I did not want to be with kids with autism. Where did she put me? With kids with autism. Did it absolutely change my life? Sure did. So you never know. Listen to the wise professors in your life. They might guide you to a population that you might be like, oh my gosh, this is the best. I wanna know more. I wanna help. I wanna do what I can. So be open to these amazing kiddos. Yes.
You've already applied for the multiple subject.
I can steal you back. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You've already applied.
Yes.
And you're interested in
Yeah.
program. What are the steps?
I would talk to your student advisor to talk about, and sometimes people, I think, go ahead and apply for both and make a decision. Is that something we can do?
Yes, just let me know. I'm Tiana. So you can email me or call me. My email address is Hunter, but you can come down to University Health 221.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can either apply to both programs or we put you over to Concurrent so you know how to put your class. Yeah.
And my amazing colleagues who will probably be interviewing you for middle level, single subject, multiple subject, or kind of probably be like, hey, guess what? There's also this program. And so hopefully they'll be enticing you like I have, because they know that there's a shortage in this area. We really need teachers who are interested or passionate about working with this population. So they will share you with me. I won't have to steal you. We play nice and share candidates for sure. Yes.
Just to confirm, the application for the concurrent program is due in May.
It's due in May, yeah. We try to push it out as long as we can. Primarily, it's for our add-ons who are teaching right now and gen ed teachers, so we want to give them as much time to make sure they get them through the testing phase and gen ed, and then get their application in May. And then we'll be doing interviews like around the 20th of May. And then we have a program orientation in June, and then August, we're rolling. So. And we're out at BAPA for the concurrent program, which is this performing arts school. It's a great school because we have a lot of different services offered there for special education, and then we're right next to California Avenue School, so we have a lot of, which is a specialized school for kids with disabilities for preschool and some medically fragile class. So it's just a block of goodness of special ed on that block in Vista. And so you're there the first year, and then for the mild moderate program, you're up in the university because you're taking a mix of day and night classes, but then you're out all over the county. We try to place you where you want to get a job. And so especially in the final credential that you do, we really want to make sure that we do our best to get you in the district where you want to be employed, because most often our candidates get swooped up and take employment in the district where they're doing their clinical practice. So we've placed anywhere from Temecula to Coronado. So our supervisors, they love to drive in their cars all over the county. They don't, but they will, to make sure you get where you need to be. We have good relationships with San Diego and San Diego Unified, and that's where I used to teach. So there's placements all over. Yeah.
Are you interviewing?
It's one program, so we interview thinking you're going to stay all the way to the master's. Yeah, so you interview one time. For the first 3 semesters, though, you pay credential fees, and then when you get to transition into finishing your master's, then you will apply again to the master's program, which you will get into because you're already in our program. It's just a step we have to take to get you coded, as Tiana says, as a MA candidate. And so we get you in as an MA student or candidate in the 4th semester. So your fees will change then, and you'll be as a graduate student. But for the first 3 semesters, you're paying as a credential candidate. And it's super cool because a lot of those units you use for your master's, but you pay credential fees. Don't tell your friends the other program. Or tell them and tell them to come. Good question. Yeah.
So what does the program look like? Is it classes during, or you're going to school during the day? And
it depends on the semester. I'd say the first 2 semesters, it's daytime classes and daytime clinical practice. So some days you're in class, you know, and we try to mirror school hours. So it's 7:30. You're in class till about 3 o'clock, and so we are on campus. We're tutoring students. We are, you know, we're members of the school community, and we have experiences throughout the day with students, with coursework. It kind of depends. And then the next 8 weeks, or depending on how things happen when you come, then the rest of the time you're in clinical practice during the day. So the first semester, I'd say you can mostly all day classes. You'll be done by 3:30. In the spring is when you start adding some special ed components to your program, and so you will have one hybrid evening class in the spring. That's 16 weeks long, so it goes throughout the whole semester. And then the 3rd semester is a mix of full day classes, some evening classes, and then daytime clinical practice. So it's full time, and that it's kind of, but we give you lots of notice. So like, I need to know, you know, we have lots of candidates who have families who need to know for childcare and those kind of things. So we try to let them know well in advance the course schedule prior to the semester. But most of the time it's full day because you're in clinical practice. We have, most of our classes are all face-to-face. Some of them are hybrid though. So you have some online components and then you have some face-to-face components. So it just depends on the course. The credentials are changing in that they're getting new names. So, which I think is awesome. Instead of being mild, moderate disabilities or moderate, severe, they're getting away from labeling the students as having a mild, moderate disability. And now they're trying to talk more about their support needs. So the credentials are changing to mild, moderate support needs, and then moderate, severe will change to extensive support needs, which I think is a really positive way of going. It's not necessarily that you're a mod severe kid or you're a mild mod kid. It's like your needs are more mild, your needs are more extensive, and so a different credential might be appropriate. That'll be something that might happen in your program, just depending on when you start. So if you're not going to start for another year or 2, then you probably get the new credentials. If you're going to start in the fall, then you'd probably be our last group getting the old or current credentials. They're not old. They always change names, so don't worry. It's not like, do I have to come back and get the new one? No, you do not have to come back and get the new one. It's just there. I mean, I have a credential that's a completely different name than the one currently. So get used to that. They change the credential names frequently. And I think it's good because language matters, and it's really important how we talk about our candidates and students. Other questions? Well, if you're thinking about them and there's more, you know where to go for answers, hopefully. And thank you for letting me come and talk and get excited. Sure. Mind if I log out?
Yeah.
You're done? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I had these, but I didn't bring them. But you guys may have already. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
How dare
Oh, it's like, oh, it's my coworker. Yeah, really? Yeah. I only started working like 2 months ago running. So I was like, okay. It's like, sorry. I don't know. How do I end? End meeting.